Hi, I'm Gardener Scott. It's fall, which means it's time to plant one of my favorites. So join me as I plant garlic. Garlic is one of the easiest garden plants to grow, and it actually surprises me that more gardeners don't grow it. You put it in the ground in the fall in most areas, you just let it grow, and then you harvest it in the summer. It takes very little effort, very little labor, and the results are wonderful. It's garlic. There are two different types of garlic that you can grow, and I grow them both. One is what's called a hard neck variety of garlic. That's because from the center comes a primary stalk, and that stalk grows and gets pretty hard. The other type is a soft neck variety. It also has a stalk that comes up, but this one doesn't get hard. It stays soft, more like an onion. Within these two basic types, you'll find many varieties of each. I'm growing two different types of hardneck garlic this year and one type of softneck garlic. But the way you plant them is identical, regardless of whether it's a hardneck or softneck. Regardless of which type of garlic we're planting, the reason it's identical is because the bulb is made up of cloves, regardless of whether it's a soft neck or a hard neck. And it's these individual cloves that we'll plant to get a bulb of garlic. Now, you can think of the clove like a seed. You plant it and it grows into a new plant. It really isn't a seed. Garlic will send up flowers, and those flowers will turn into garlic seeds. But for demonstration purposes, that's the easiest way to think of it. We put a clove in the ground, and next year, a garlic plant emerges. So the first thing we need to do is break the bulb into individual cloves. And it's just like if you were using garlic for cooking. I typically will break off the top and then take each of these individual cloves and break them apart from the center. Remember, it's these cloves that we'll be putting in the ground. Now, as I take all these cloves off of the bulb, you'll notice that all I'm left with is a bit of root at the bottom. All of these cloves came from a soft neck variety. The easiest way to tell it's a soft neck, if you have any doubt, is a little bit of root that remains and then all the cloves that are ready for planting. A hard neck variety of garlic is similar. I'll still start at the top and start breaking apart the cloves. But the difference in a hard neck is once we remove all of these individual cloves, we actually are left with a little bit more. We have this hard stem and then the roots. So it's a bunch of cloves and it's a hard neck. That's how you tell it's a hardneck variety. You'll probably notice as you break apart the bulbs that some of the cloves are small and some of the cloves are big. Ideally, you want to plant the bigger cloves. They should result in a bigger bulb when it comes time to harvest. Those little ones, they're still perfectly good to eat, and I typically just take them into the kitchen. I prefer to just plant the big ones. You can plant all sizes. just be aware you'll probably have more success by eating the smaller ones and putting the bigger cloves in the ground. Hopefully you're starting with some big bulbs that will give you some big cloves. The bulb will vary as to the number of cloves that it offers up. I've had some bulbs that have as few as 4 cloves, and I've had some that have as many as 12 cloves. A lot of it depends on the variety. Either way, once you have the cloves separated, you can lay them out on the ground in the pattern that you choose. Individual cloves will grow into the size of a bulb, so you need to make sure you give them enough room to grow. I like to place the cloves in a block pattern with about 5 or 6 inches between each clove. That way it has plenty of room to grow and enlarge, and it won't interfere with its neighbor. You want to plant the clove about twice its height. This is about 1.5 inches, so I actually want to put it in the ground about 3 inches. 1.5 inches for the clove and 1.5 inches above that to grow. Bigger cloves, smaller cloves work the same way. Plant bigger cloves a little deeper, smaller cloves a little shallower. And what I'll do is just use my finger to go down, make a hole, and then drop the clove into it. You can also just poke a hole, drop the clove into it, and cover it up. If you're doing a lot of garlic in a long series of rows, you can actually dig a trench to the appropriate depth, put the cloves in, and then cover up the trench. I like to use the block planting method for garlic because I tend to grow all my garlic in one bed, in one section. And the blocks make it real easy to put in the ground, and it makes it real easy to identify which types of garlic I have growing in the bed. But you can easily do just one long row of garlic if you so choose. You can do just a couple individual plants scattered throughout the garden. In fact, I actually advocate doing that if you have a pest problem. Garlic can deter rabbits and deer and some of the other insect pests that we have in our garden. So by putting just a few garlic plants around your beds, it can have a beneficial effect. When you plant the garlic, you do want to try to make sure the top goes up and the bottom goes down. The way to tell is that the bottom, where the roots come out, tends to be flat. That goes down. The top part tends to be pointed. That goes up. It's kind of like a little rocket ship. So when you put it into the ground, put the flat side down, the pointy side up, and your garlic will be perfectly planted. I'm going to continue planting these cloves for all 3 types of garlic that I'm growing this year. And then we'll move on to the next step right after that. Garlic grows best in a loose, rich, well-draining soil. So if you can, about a month or even more before you plant your garlic, amend the bed with compost. That'll help give it the energy it needs as it grows. It'll help loosen the soil, and it should give you a much better garlic harvest. All the cloves are in the ground, the holes are covered up, and now it's time to add some mulch. I prefer straw. It provides a nice blanket of coverage over the soil. It will eventually break down and add organic material to the soil. It's inexpensive and it's very easy to apply. I like to do a 3 to 5 inch layer of the straw mulch at this time. This straw mulch will offer the garlic great protection over the winter. We get some pretty strong winds during some of our winter storms, and I can actually expect that some of the straw may blow out of the bed or at least blow against the side after some of those winds. So I'll probably have to come back periodically, add more straw, maybe redistribute it, but I want to try to keep the mulch covering the garlic by 3 to 5 inches during that entire winter growing process. When the leaves start falling from the trees soon, I'll take some of those dried leaves and I'll mix it with this straw. I've found that the straw mixed with the leaves tends to stabilize the whole thing, and it's not as likely to blow out. It's going to be real soon, and those leaves will be on top of this bed too. The garlic that I planted today is the same garlic that I harvested almost 3 months ago. In my Zone 5 garden, that tends to be the pattern. We harvest in July and we plant in October. The garlic grows from October to July, and as I mentioned at the beginning, it's almost foolproof. I'll keep it watered, I'll keep it mulched, I'll keep it weeded, but other than that, there's really not much I need to do except wait for it and be ready to harvest. There you have it. That's how I plant garlic. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know below. If you haven't subscribed to the Gardener Scott channel, you can do so now. If you like the video, you can give me a thumbs up and share it. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.